Have you ever wanted something so deeply it felt impossible not to happen? You closed your eyes, visualized it, wished for it with all your heart, and still nothing changed? Maybe it's time to consider that wanting alone doesn't carry the power you thought it did. There's something deeper at play, something that operates in silence, shaping your reality with far more intensity than any desire ever could. The truth is unsettling. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you observe. While you long for prosperity but observe debt every day, the universe doesn't respond to your desire. It responds to your attention. While you dream of love but focus on loneliness, it's loneliness that echoes back. It's not about what you want from time to time, but about what you consistently dwell on, with feeling, with presence. The universe is constantly scanning your vibrational field and responding to what you're validating with your focus. Today, we're going to break the illusion that wishing is enough. We're going to unveil the true code of manifestation, observation as a creative force. Because when you understand that your external reality is only a reflection of what you choose to see within, you begin to awaken a new level of power, a power that doesn't require effort, only awareness. What are you truly observing every day? That's what's shaping your life. Desire is weak. Observation is strong. Desiring is natural. From a young age, we learn to want things: toys, attention, affection, recognition, success, money. Desire becomes an inner engine, a constant push toward what we don't yet have. But there's a subtle truth, often overlooked, in this process. Wanting isn't enough to create. The universe is not responding to your desire. It's responding to your vibration, and your vibration is shaped by what you consistently observe. This is where many get lost. They believe that wanting something intensely is already a clear command to the universe. But most of the time, that desire is laced with the painful realization that it still doesn't exist. And it's that absence you're observing, feeling, and reinforcing. You might wish for wealth, but if every day you wake up worried about bills, staring tensely at your bank statement, feeling fear and lack, then that is what you're energetically communicating. The observation of scarcity, of lack, of struggle becomes dominant, and the universe, neutral and precise as it is, responds exactly to that. Vibration doesn't lie. It's not what you say you want. It's what you're truly holding with your attention and emotion. Desire is often fragile because, unless it's backed by a new way of observing reality, it dissolves at the first sign of resistance. Wanting something while observing its opposite is like rowing against the current. That's why so many people get frustrated with manifestation concepts. They want change, but they keep validating the old reality with the same focus as always. And focus is everything. Observation holds power because it carries consistency. It involves presence, repetition, familiarity. It informs the quantum field of what you perceive as true. When you observe something repeatedly, you're not just seeing it. You're training your mind and your energetic field to recognize that reality as dominant. And the universe, like a quantum mirror, reflects that pattern right back to you. Picture someone who desires a loving relationship. They declare it, journal it, recite positive affirmations. But in daily life, they look at couples and feel envy, compare their life to others and feel alone, feed thoughts like, "No one's worth it," or "No one ever chooses me." These are all forms of vibrational observation. And it's that vibration, not the desire itself, that's being broadcast. The result? More loneliness, more distance. On the other hand, when you begin to observe consciously, even if your reality hasn't changed yet, you start tuning into a new frequency, simply choosing to notice signs of love around you, to recognize connection, to feel gratitude for small moments. That already shifts your field. Conscious observation is a form of vibrational training, and when that becomes stronger than the old habit of observing lack, change begins. You don't receive what you want. You receive what you observe as if it were already real. That is one of the most powerful laws of creation, because to observe is to validate, And to validate is to energize. Every time you give something your attention with emotion, you strengthen that possibility in the field of infinite realities. And what is strengthened manifests. Why the universe responds to your attention, not your request. You can ask the universe every day. You can pray, visualize, write in manifestation journals, repeat affirmations with fervor. You can even cry from wanting something so badly. But if throughout your day, your attention is focused on the opposite of what you're asking for, then that is what you will continue to receive. The universe doesn't respond to your words. It responds to your vibration. And your vibration is defined moment by moment by what you are consistently observing with feeling. Attention is the vibrational language the universe understands. It's as if every time you look at something with emotional intensity, you're silently saying, "This is what's real to me." And the universe, faithful to its reflective nature, responds, "Then this is what I'll show you more of." The quantum field is like a great energetic mirror. It doesn't think, judge, or interpret surface intentions. It reflects, pure and simple. It reflects what you're vibrating now. Not what you wish would happen, but what you believe is happening. Imagine planting an apple seed and watering it every day. But as you do it, you keep saying, "I want bananas, please. I want bananas." No matter how sincere your desire is, what you're nurturing is an apple tree. The universe works the same way. You're watering with your attention, not your requests. It's your vibrational focus that fertilizes the soil of your reality, not the wish you mentally express without energetic backing. Attention is a way of collapsing possibilities in the quantum field. Everything you intensely focus on starts to gain more density, more form, more presence. It's as if you're pulling that reality closer to you until it manifests physically. Attention is a vibrational choice, and that choice repeats with every thought, every emotion, every glance you direct. The problem is that often our requests are disconnected from our attention. We ask for health but focus on pain. We ask for freedom but dwell on limitations. We ask for love but observe the absence. And it's this observation that becomes dominant because the field doesn't react to what you verbalize. It reacts to what you confirm with your presence. Energy follows focus. This is one of the simplest and most powerful laws of conscious creation. Whatever you place at the center of your attention grows. Whatever you feed with observation gains form. You may not realize it, but every time you focus on something, whether positive or negative, you're vibrationally asking for more of it. You're saying, "This is important. This deserves my energy." And the universe interprets that as a creative command. The vibrational field is like a cosmic radar. It is constantly picking up the signals you emit. And these signals don't come from what you theoretically want, but from what you're energetically living. You may want abundance, but if you keep observing scarcity, the radar picks up scarcity. You may want a new path, but if you only observe obstacles, the radar picks up resistance. And that's why requests are not always heard, because they are not vibrationally aligned with what you're truly emitting. For the universe to respond differently, your focus must align with your desire. You must consciously observe what you want to experience, even before there's evidence. This isn't pretending, it's training your vibration. It's teaching your energy field to recognize new possibilities as real. And when that new observation becomes natural, the universe begins to respond. Not because you asked louder, but because you began to focus with more truth. In the end, the universe doesn't grant wishes, it mirrors frequencies, and your frequency is shaped by what you see, feel, and believe as you live your day. Therefore, the key isn't in asking more, it's in observing differently, because it is your attention that commands creation. How sustained observation creates reality. The reality you live today wasn't created by a single thought or a one-time desire. It was shaped by what you repeatedly observed over time, with feeling, focus, and presence. Sustained observation is the true mold of experience. It is through it that you instruct the universe on what should manifest in your life. It's not fleeting desires that create, but the frequency you sustain with your gaze. Everything in the universe is energy. and all energy responds to patterns of vibration. When you observe something consistently, you're emitting frequent signals to the quantum field, as if constantly reinforcing, this is what's real to me. And it's this vibrational repetition that begins to collapse probabilities and bring forth situations, people, ideas, and events that vibrate at the same frequency. Observation in this context is much more than simply looking at something. It involves emotional presence. You don't just see, you feel, validate, and connect with it. That's why constantly observing failure, for example, is not neutral. Every time you fixate on what didn't work, on what's missing, on what's stuck, you're feeding that vibration and reinforcing your field with signals that say, this is familiar, this is what I recognize as truth. And the universe respects that. It respects what you sustain consistently because that indicates where your consciousness resides. And consciousness is the ultimate creative force. What you repeat becomes familiar, and what becomes familiar manifests. That's why we often see people stuck in the same cycles for years. They're not being punished or blocked. They're just observing the same things in the same way, day after day. This process creates a magnetic field that becomes a kind of vibrational magnet. This field doesn't lie. It isn't influenced by what you say you want, but by what you sustain as real. And that sustainment comes from constant observation. The repetition of focus forms energetic trails, vibrational pathways that grow stronger the more you walk them. And the stronger they are, the more they attract matching realities. There is a fundamental concept called the frequency of familiarity. The universe doesn't deliver what's new to you randomly. It delivers what you already know vibrationally. And what you know vibrationally is what you observe the most. It's as if your mind says, this is what I expect. And the universe responds, then this is what I'll offer. So if you spend most of your time observing chaos, criticism, fear, or scarcity, it doesn't matter how much you desire peace, love, or abundance. The field is trained to recognize chaos. It's tuned to that song, and that's the song that keeps playing, because that's what you most hear, most feel, most reinforce, and consequently, that's what manifests. But the opposite is also true. When you begin to consciously observe new possibilities, even small ones, and do it consistently, the field begins to change. The new frequency may seem weak at first, but with repetition, it becomes familiar. And once it becomes familiar, it manifests. This is exactly the secret behind many deep transformations. They weren't caused by one magical decision, but by a new way of observing the world, sustained with dedication. Change begins within, in how you perceive. And this new perception, when repeated, trains your energy field to receive something different. Identify where your attention is today. Now that you understand the power of sustained observation, it's time to turn your gaze inward and ask a question that can completely change the course of your life. Where is your attention today? What have you been observing most often with the most emotional charge, with the most presence? Because that, not what you say you want, is what is shaping your reality. This analysis is not superficial. It requires honesty, willingness, and awareness. Many times we say we want peace, but spend the day observing conflict. We want abundance, but fixate on high prices, debt, and limitations. We desire growth, but our focus is trapped in judgment, comparison, and doubt. What is being repeatedly observed is what is being communicated to the vibrational field as truth, and the universe acts with surgical precision on that frequency. This is not about guilt or judgment, it's about clarity. Your life is a mirror, not a punishment. It is constantly reflecting what you choose to validate with your gaze. That's why the first step to any transformation is becoming aware of what's being nurtured behind the veil of conscious desires. Because no matter how much you visualize beautiful things, what you're emotionally observing in your day-to-day is what's truly emitting a signal to the universe. Perhaps you're still trapped in old patterns of observation without realizing it, observing what's going wrong, what's still missing, what doesn't fit. Maybe you've gotten used to noticing delays more than progress, obstacles more than opportunities. And that doesn't make you a negative person, just someone conditioned to a frequency that needs revision. Start paying attention to your inner dialogue. What do you tell yourself when something goes wrong? Where does your mind go when you're alone? What's your first thought when you wake up and when you go to sleep? The way you see yourself, others, and the world around you reveals exactly where your dominant observation lies, and consequently, what you're attracting. You may want to change your life, but if when you look at your reflection in the mirror, you only see flaws, criticism, and rejection, that is the vibration you are reinforcing. You may want to grow, but if you observe other people's success with comparison and resentment, you're pushing away what you say you desire. Every observation carries a frequency, and each frequency builds a part of your field. This is the moment to be honest with yourself, to stop and observe the observer. Not as someone who needs to fix something, but as someone ready to access a new level of awareness. Transformation doesn't begin by changing the world outside. It starts by adjusting the focus with which you look at it. Start asking yourself throughout the day, am I observing with gratitude or with frustration? Am I validating beauty or chaos? Am I focusing on what is flowing or on what is stuck? These questions are not philosophical. They are practical tools to redirect your vibration. They reveal what is being nurtured in your energetic field, and in doing so, indicate what you are truly creating. Remember, your constant observation reveals your dominant frequency, and your dominant frequency is what builds your reality. There's no use in wishing for peace while observing conflict. There's no use in asking for abundance while focusing on lack. The universe responds to what you live internally, not to what you merely wish for intellectually. How to redirect your observation to align with what you want. If the reality you're living today is the result of what you've repeatedly observed, then changing your life begins with changing what you choose to observe. It may sound simple, and in a way it is, but it's not about looking at something new once and expecting everything to transform. Redirecting observation is a daily practice, a presence ritual, a conscious choice to break old patterns and train a new vibrational focus. The first step is recognizing that you have the power to decide where to place your attention. That alone changes everything. Many people believe they're at the mercy of what happens around them, as if circumstances inevitably determine what will be observed. But awakened awareness reveals that you can choose the lens through which you see the world, even when the world seems to insist on showing the opposite of what you desire. Redirecting observation starts with awareness. You must pause for a few moments, take a deep breath, and sincerely ask, what have I been observing most often? That question, when asked with presence, already begins the realignment process. Because what you observe unconsciously has much more power than what you consciously desire. When you become aware of this pattern, you can begin to change it. From there, the practice is to interrupt the automatic cycle of conditioned observation. That tendency to always notice the problem, the mistake, what's missing. When you notice this happening, don't judge yourself. Just choose again. Say to yourself, I choose to see differently. Then direct your attention to something that represents, even subtly, the reality you want to live. Observation is not about making things up. It's about training your perception to notice what's already available but often goes unseen due to conditioning. Abundance, for example, already exists around you in many forms. In nature, in your breath, in connections, in small details. But if you're used to observing scarcity, your mind filters reality to fit that pattern. Redirecting is about breaking that filter, even a little bit each day. Creating conscious observation rituals can be a powerful way to anchor this new focus. Dedicate a few minutes in the morning or at night to contemplate what is already aligned with your intention. It could be something you're living, something you see in others, or something you feel internally. The key is to train your field to recognize this frequency as familiar, because the universe delivers what you recognize as natural, not what you desire from a distance. A transformative practice is to live an entire day as if the reality you want is already happening. This is not pretending or self-deception. It's aligning your observation with the desired state. During those 24 hours, choose to observe the signs, the opportunities, the details that confirm your path. React as someone who is already in tune with what they asked for, and that practice begins to shape a new vibrational identity within you. By redirecting your observation, you're not just changing your focus, you're reshaping your electromagnetic field. You're teaching your mind and heart to vibrate at a new frequency. And the more you practice, the more natural it becomes, until instead of observing what's lacking, you begin to observe what is blossoming. Instead of validating scarcity, you recognize abundance. And in this new field, manifestations stop being effort and become a natural consequence. The secret lies in consistency. Every time you choose to observe what aligns with what you want to live, you're drawing your new reality with greater clarity. You're giving clearer instructions to the universe. You're stepping into the role of co-creator, not as someone who waits, but as someone who vibrates with awareness. Redirecting observation is a spiritual, energetic, and practical act all at once. It is an act of self-love, of vibrational sovereignty, of commitment to the reality you want to experience. When you change what you see, you change what you feel. And when you change what you feel, you change what you live. It all begins with the silent choice of where to rest your gaze. Results begin when your observation changes. It's common for people to believe that change starts on the outside, when the money finally arrives, when the right person appears, when opportunity knocks. But the truth is the opposite. Nothing changes on the outside until something changes on the inside. And that inner change is not an abstraction. It begins tangibly at the exact point where you decide to observe differently. The results in your life don't come from chance, luck, or isolated effort. They emerge from the vibrational field you feed with your daily attention. When you shift the way you observe the world, you change the way you interact with it. And this new interaction begins to open doors, reveal paths, and attract experiences that once seemed out of reach. Observation is like an activation code. What you see with emotional presence, you invite in. That's why things often feel stuck, even with all the effort. Because physical action, no matter how intense, cannot override a misaligned vibration. You might be chasing your goals, but if you keep focusing on what's missing, what's difficult, what isn't happening, you're still emitting the signal of absence. And the universe responds with more of the same. Only when you change your lens, when you start noticing what is flowing, what is already present, what is emerging, does the landscape begin to transform. This shift in observation isn't merely symbolic. It alters your electromagnetic field, changes your posture, fine-tunes your perception. You begin to see opportunities that once went unnoticed. You start interpreting events with a new perspective. What once seemed like an obstacle becomes an invitation. What seemed like repetition becomes a chance for growth. Because you're vibrating differently. And when you vibrate differently, you see differently. The first signs of change are often subtle. An unexpected encounter, a clearer intuition, a small breakthrough, a feeling of lightness. But within those signs lies confirmation. The universe is responding to your new frequency. And the more you validate those little clues with gratitude and awareness, the more you strengthen the field of what you desire to manifest. It's as if reality is constantly waiting for a coherent vibrational command. And when that command finally arrives, through a new way of observing, it rearranges itself to meet you. People who seem distant draw near. Solutions that felt impossible are revealed. New ideas emerge. What once felt closed begins to open. But none of this happens by chance. It all starts when you begin to observe with presence and aligned intention. The beauty of this process is that it gives your power back to you. It doesn't matter what your current circumstances are or the challenges you're facing. You can always choose to observe differently. You can always seek what's working, what's growing, what's trying to emerge. And by doing so, you alter the field that sustains your reality. True change begins when your observation changes, because it's in that moment that you stop confirming the old and start feeding the new. You become a conscious channel of creation, no longer repeating outdated patterns, but making space for a new life experience. And when that happens, the results that once felt far away begin to appear, not like magic, but as the natural reflection of a new vibration. Remember, results don't come to those who simply wish. They come to those who observe with faith, with consistency, and with presence. When you change what you validate with your gaze, the universe changes what it delivers to your doorstep. Because reality is not a fixed line, it is an energetic dance, and it all begins with the subtle movement of a new observation. We've reached the end of our journey, but perhaps the true beginning is just starting. The beginning of a new way to see, to feel, and to create your reality. Today, you've understood that it's not the desire that transforms your life, but sustained, vibrational, conscious observation. The universe doesn't respond to what you say you want. It responds to what you confirm with your gaze every day. You don't attract what you wish for. You attract what you observe, with presence, with feeling, with inner truth. And it is through this new lens that everything changes. People, situations, opportunities. Because when you change the way you observe, you change the field. And when the field changes, reality responds. For the next 24 hours, live as if change is already underway. Observe as one who already receives. Feel as one who already lives. And tell me in the comments, what changed? Your reality doesn't listen to your desires. It responds to your gaze.